Underrated. It's a word every real hooper understands. In the NBA, not every great player gets the spotlight. Some change games quietly, some anchor winning teams without getting the headlines, and some, even legends, never get the credit they earned. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar spent 2 decades battling the best, studying the game deeper than almost anyone. And through all those years, he never forgot the players who didn't just play well, they made the game better. For Kareem, being underrated isn't about being forgotten. It's about being overlooked by the media, by history, by fans who didn't see what real impact looks like. These are the players who defended, created, led, and won without needing a spotlight to validate them. This is that list. 6 names Kareem respects deeply. 6 players who should be remembered louder. These are Kareem's 6 most underrated players of all time. But before proceeding, please take a second and subscribe and like this video. It will be very motivation for us. In the story of basketball history, few players embody the word underrated, quite like Artis Gilmore. He was 7 feet 2, built like a tank, and played the game with quiet precision. No gimmicks, no headlines, just dominance. And for nearly 2 decades, first in the ABA, then in the NBA, Gilmore was one of the most efficient and consistent big men the sport had ever seen. His legend began before the pros. At Jacksonville University, Gilmore carried a small program all the way to the 1970 NCAA championship game, an almost unthinkable run at the time. He averaged 22.7 points and 22.2 rebounds over his college career, numbers that sound unreal today. From there, he joined the ABA and became an immediate force with the Kentucky Colonels. In his rookie season alone, he averaged 23.8 points and 17.8 rebounds per game, winning both Rookie of the Year and MVP in 1972. But it wasn't just one great season. For 5 dominant years in the ABA, Gilmore led the league in rebounding 4 times, in field goal percentage 5 times, and anchored a Kentucky team that won the 1975 ABA championship. Across that stretch, he averaged an extraordinary 22.3 points and 17.1 rebounds. His efficiency was historic. He shot 58.4% from the field during his ABA career, a number no other center of that era could match. When the leagues merged in 1976, Gilmore moved to the Chicago Bulls and kept producing. In his first NBA season, he averaged 18.6 points and 13 rebounds on 56% shooting. Over his entire NBA career, he shot nearly 60% from the field. To this day, he ranks among the most accurate shooters in the history of the league. The thing about Gilmore wasn't flash, it was precision. He established deep post position early, used his strength to protect the paint, and rarely took bad shots. Offensively, his hooks and finishes around the rim were as reliable as any in the league. Defensively, he made scoring inside an exhausting task. Guards who drove into the lane found a wall waiting. Big men who tried to back him down learned quickly it wasn't happening. He played 17 professional seasons, earned 11 All-Star selections between the ABA and NBA, was named ABA Playoffs MVP in 1975, and won ABA MVP in 1976-1972. He grabbed over 16,000 rebounds and scored more than 24,000 points across his combined pro career. And yet, he's rarely mentioned in the same breath as other great centers of his time. Why? Part of it was timing. A huge chunk of his prime came in the ABA, which got less national coverage. He also wasn't a media darling. No controversy, no headline-grabbing quotes. He just played and dominated. Players of that era, especially other big men, knew how good he really was. Opponents often talked about his sheer strength and how difficult it was to move him off his spot. He made even elite scorers work for every inch. When people discuss the great defensive bigs of the 70s and 80s, Gilmore's name deserves to be there alongside Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Moses Malone, and Bill Walton. His career accolades speak for themselves. ABA MVP in 1972. 1975, ABA champion. ABA playoffs MVP in 75 finals. 11 times All-Star. 5 times All-ABA first team. One of the top field goal percentages in league history. 59.9%. But Gilmore never campaigned for recognition. He was a silent anchor, a player whose impact was felt every night, but rarely celebrated the way it should have been. And that's why his name fits perfectly in a conversation about the most underrated players ever. In a league that often rewards flash, Artis Gilmore built a career on substance. A center who stood toe-to-toe with legends, beat many of them, and did it with quiet, unshakable dominance.
Ladies and gentlemen, Artis Gilmore.
My name is Artis Gilmore, and I am a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame.
In the 1980s, the Los Angeles Lakers became synonymous with Showtime, a fast, electric, star-powered dynasty led by Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and James Worthy. But beneath the highlight reels and the glamour, there was a glue piece that made all of it work. A player who didn't seek the spotlight, but without whom those banners might not have been raised. That player was Michael Cooper. Cooper was the embodiment of what it means to be underrated. He wasn't the top scorer on those Lakers teams, wasn't an MVP, and wasn't even a perennial all-star, but he was their defensive backbone. The guy who took on the toughest assignment every single night and never complained about touches or credit. Drafted in 1978, Cooper spent his entire 12-year NBA career with the Lakers, carving out a role that became vital to their 5 championships in the 1980s. While Magic and Kareem ran the offense, Cooper locked down the perimeter. He wasn't just good defensively, he was elite. He won NBA Defensive Player of the Year in 1987 and made 8 NBA All-Defensive teams, 5 first team, 3 second team. And this was during an era packed with legendary wings and guards: Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Julius Erving, Andrew Toney, and more. Cooper had the kind of defensive versatility that coaches dream about. At 6'5", with a wiry frame and a wingspan that made up for any strength disadvantage, he could defend point guards, shooting guards, and small forwards at an elite level. He was relentless, technical, and never seemed to run out of energy. His teammates used to say that while everyone else wanted to score, Coop wanted to guard the best guy on the floor. And in Showtime's high-octane system, having that kind of defender was priceless. But his value wasn't limited to stopping people. Cooper was also an underrated offensive contributor. He was one of the league's earliest and most reliable three-point specialists during an era when the three wasn't nearly as emphasized as it is today. In the 1986-87 season, he shot 38.5% from deep, an excellent mark at the time, and often punished defenses that tried to load up on Magic or Worthy in the half-court. His ability to hit big shots gave the Lakers a spacing element that made their offense even harder to guard. Then there was the intangible side. Cooper wasn't the team's superstar, but he was its heartbeat. He was a connector, the player who kept intensity high, who never needed to be reminded of his assignment, who set the defensive tone the rest of the roster followed. When Magic pushed the pace and Kareem set up in the post, Coop was the one locking down the other team's best scorer. Larry Bird, one of the fiercest competitors of the decade, once called Cooper the best defender he ever faced. And Bird wasn't a man who handed out compliments lightly. That tells you everything you need to know about the respect Coop earned from opponents. And yet, when people talk about the 1980s Lakers, they mention Magic, Kareem, Worthy, maybe Byron Scott. Cooper's name often comes up late, or not at all. That's what makes him underrated. He wasn't the flash, he was the foundation. His career stats won't jump off the page: 8.9 points, 4.2 assists, 1.2 steals per game. But they also don't tell the story of a player who was trusted to guard the best of the best, night after night, and more often than not, won those battles. 5 championships, 8 all-defensive team selections, a Defensive Player of the Year award, 1 franchise, 1 role embraced completely. Michael Cooper was the kind of player every championship team needs, but few fans remember. In the Showtime era, he was the quiet enforcer, the one who didn't ask for the spotlight, but earned everyone's respect, including Kareem's. And decades later, when basketball purists talk about truly underrated players, Coop's name belongs right near the top. When people talk about the great guards of the 1980s, the conversation usually starts with the flashiest names: Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan. But tucked just beneath that spotlight was a player who struck fear into scorers, commanded respect from opponents, and quietly built one of the most complete two-way resumes of the decade. That player was Sidney Moncrief. Drafted 5th overall by the Milwaukee Bucks in 1979, Moncrief spent the prime of his career being everything a coach could ask for: efficient scorer, elite defender, reliable leader, and competitor who played every possession like it mattered. He wasn't built like a typical guard. At 6'4" with a strong frame, explosive first step, and the kind of defensive instincts that couldn't be taught, Moncrief set the tone for an era of Bucks basketball that consistently won but rarely got national attention. The numbers tell part of the story. From 1981 to 1986, Moncrief averaged 20.2 points, 5.1 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 1.4 steals per game while shooting 51.2% from the field. He made 5 straight All-Star appearances, 5 straight All-NBA teams, including 2 first-team selections, and 5 straight All-Defensive first teams. But what set him apart was how he blended efficiency with tenacity. He didn't waste dribbles, he didn't force shots. He attacked, made plays, and defended like it was personal. And defense, that was his signature. Moncrief won the NBA's first-ever Defensive Player of the Year award in 1983, and then won it again in 1984. Those were prime years of elite scorers. Jordan was entering the league, Larry Bird was in his prime, Julius Erving still had juice, and the Eastern Conference was stacked. Yet, night after night, Moncrief was the guy assigned to slow them down. He didn't rely on gimmicks. He relied on footwork, strength, and relentless energy. Jordan himself famously said Moncrief was one of the toughest defenders he ever faced. That kind of praise doesn't come easily from the most competitive player of all time, but Moncrief earned it. He didn't just contest shots, he made every possession feel like a fight. And what made him even more dangerous was that he gave it back on the other end. He wasn't a defensive stopper who disappeared on offense. He was often Milwaukee's best all-around player. The Bucks during that era were a consistently elite team, winning 50 or more games in 7 straight seasons, 1980 to 1987. But because they never broke through to the NBA Finals, they didn't get the national spotlight like the Boston Celtics or Los Angeles Lakers. As a result, Moncrief's greatness was seen more by opponents and insiders than by casual fans. That's a big reason why his name doesn't come up as often as it should in conversations about the best guards of his generation. Another reason Moncrief stands out is how complete his game was. He wasn't a volume chucker. He was efficient and deliberate. He could run the offense, get to the rim, hit mid-range jumpers, and lock up anyone from point guards to small forwards. In modern terms, he'd be the kind of versatile two-way wing every contender would pay anything to have. His impact was also cultural. Within the Bucks organization, Moncrief was known for his professionalism, the kind of teammate who set the tone without needing to be loud. Head coaches trusted him completely. Teammates followed his lead. Opponents respected him. And yet, because he didn't have the marketing machine behind him, his name faded faster than it should have. Injuries shortened his peak, which only added to the underrated narrative. By the late 1980s, knee problems reduced his explosiveness, and the league moved on quickly. But during his best years, Moncrief was every bit as dangerous and impactful as the bigger names of his era. The resume backs it up. 5 times NBA All-Star. 2 times NBA Defensive Player of the Year in 1983 and 1984. 5 times All-NBA selection. 5 times All-Defensive First Team. Career 50.2% FG shooting as a guard. Few guards have ever been able to control a game on both ends like he did. He could score 25 on you and then hold your star to 12. Sidney Moncrief was the definition of a player opponents dreaded and fans didn't fully appreciate. His prime might not have been loud, but it was relentless. And that's why, when basketball purists talk about underrated legends, his name always finds its way into the conversation, right where it belongs. Maurice Cheeks. There's a certain type of player who doesn't get celebrated until years after they've left the game. The kind who never needed the spotlight, but made their teams better every single night. Maurice Cheeks is the perfect example of that kind of player. While the 1980s were filled with loud superstars, flash, and highlight reels, Cheeks was all substance. No bravado, no endless interviews, just steady, high IQ basketball. At a time when Philadelphia 76ers were fighting through the brutal Eastern Conference gauntlet, he became their floor general, the quiet architect behind a championship team built around stars like Julius Erving and Moses Malone. Cheeks entered the league in 1978 as a second-round pick out of West Texas A&M University, a relatively unknown guard from a small school. But it didn't take long for him to make his presence felt. From the moment he stepped on the court, Cheeks played with poise beyond his years. He understood spacing, tempo, and timing. All the things that don't make headlines but win games. He wasn't flashy, but he was efficient. He wasn't loud, but he was in control. Over his career, Cheeks averaged 11.1 points, 6.7 assists, and 2.1 steals per game, while shooting nearly 53% from the field, an exceptional number for a guard. He ranked among the league leaders in steals for most of the 1980s, finishing top 5 6 times. And his ability to take care of the basketball made him a coach's dream. He led multiple seasons with an assist-to-turnover ratio near the top of the league, a stat that speaks volumes about his value as a floor general. But what truly set Cheeks apart was the way he elevated everyone around him. He didn't need to dominate the ball to run the game. He made the right reads, set up teammates in their sweet spots, and defended opposing guards with relentless focus. Every star he played with, Irving, Malone, Charles Barkley later in the decade, became more dangerous because of him. The 1982-83 season remains the pinnacle of his career. That year, the Sixers steamrolled through the league, finishing with a 65-17 record and winning the NBA title. Malone and Irving were the headline names, but Cheeks was the stabilizer. He averaged 12.5 points, 6.9 assists, and 2.3 steals per game during that season, and in the playoffs, he was the one initiating every key possession. Philadelphia lost only one playoff game en route to the championship, a testament to just how perfectly the machine ran with Cheeks steering it. Defensively, Cheeks was relentless, but disciplined. He didn't gamble for steals unnecessarily. He anticipated, slid his feet, and made life miserable for opposing guards. 4 all-defensive team selections only tell part of the story. His reputation among peers tells the rest. Guards knew that if you were matched up with Mo Cheeks, you weren't going to have an easy night. His game aged gracefully because it was built on intelligence, not flash. Even into his mid-30s, he remained a productive starter and key veteran presence for teams like New York Knicks and Atlanta Hawks. And long after he retired, his reputation as one of the smartest point guards of his generation has only grown. One of the most overlooked aspects of Cheeks' career is how durable and consistent he was. He played over 1,100 NBA games, ranked among the all-time leaders in steals for decades, and finished his career with more assists than legends like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson had at the time of their retirements. For years, he sat in the top 10 all-time in both assists and steals, rare company for any guard. Cheeks wasn't built to sell sneakers or headline commercials. He was built to win, and win he did. 1983 NBA champion, 4-time All-Star, 4-time All-Defensive selection, and a reputation among coaches and players as one of the most trustworthy point guards they ever faced. Even after his playing days, his basketball IQ was so respected that he transitioned seamlessly into coaching, eventually being inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2018. His career is proof that greatness doesn't have to be loud to be lasting. Maurice Cheeks was never the flashiest player in the room, but he was almost always the smartest, the kind of guard who held everything together while others grabbed the headlines, and that's exactly why he belongs in any conversation about the most underrated players in NBA history. When people talk about the great big men in NBA history, the usual names roll off the tongue easily. Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but right alongside them, often overlooked, stood Nate Thurmond, one of the fiercest defenders and most complete centers of his era. Thurmond didn't need hype. He earned respect the hard way by making life miserable for the greatest scorers who ever lived. At 6'11", with a strong, chiseled frame and remarkable agility for his size, he anchored the paint with a defensive presence that even legends dreaded facing. Wilt Chamberlain once called him the toughest defender he ever went up against. That's not a small compliment coming from a man who scored 100 points in a single game. Drafted 3rd overall in 1963 by the San Francisco Warriors, Thurmond entered the league as a power forward, playing alongside Wilt. When Chamberlain was traded to Philadelphia 76ers in 1965, Thurmond took over as the starting center, and that's when his legend truly grew. From 1965 to 1972, he averaged 19.6 points and 17.9 rebounds per game, routinely ranking among the league leaders in both categories. His strength on the glass was unmatched. In 1964 to 65, he pulled down 18.1 rebounds per game, and in 1966 to 67, he peaked at an incredible 21st of March. But numbers only tell part of the story. Thurmond was a brick wall in the post. He combined upper body strength with great timing, quick feet, and near-perfect positioning. He could body up dominant scorers like Wilt or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and still have the agility to help on drives. Unlike many big men of the era, he wasn't just a shot blocker. He was a possession killer, ending plays by securing rebounds or forcing tough shots. Offensively, Thurmond had more polish than he gets credit for. He wasn't just a putback scorer. He had a smooth mid-range jumper for a center, could face up and hit from 15 feet, and passed well out of double teams. His 15.0 career scoring average doesn't fully reflect how effective he was as a high-post option during the late 1960s and early 1970s. And in 1974, while playing for the Chicago Bulls, he became the first player in NBA history to officially record a quadruple-double: 22 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists, and 12 blocks. That alone cements his place among the most versatile bigs of all time. Thurmond also had a reputation as one of the game's most respected competitors. Opponents didn't just fear his defense, they admired the way he carried himself. He was physical but clean, intense but composed. Coaches trusted him as the anchor of elite defenses. He earned 7 All-Star selections, 5 All-Defensive Team honors, and averaged a staggering 15 rebounds per game for his entire career. But despite all that, his name rarely gets mentioned in the same breath as the centers he battled against. That's because he played in the shadows of all-time icons. Wilt and Russell defined the 1960s, and Kareem dominated the 1970s. Nate Thurmond was caught between eras, brilliant enough to hang with all of them, but without the same spotlight to match. For a stretch, he was the only big man who could truly slow down both Wilt and Kareem. Not stop them. No one could, but make them work harder than anyone else did. And that's the kind of legacy that players and historians remember, even when casual fans forget. He finished his career with over 14,000 rebounds, more than 14,000 points, and a defensive reputation that still resonates with purists. He was named to the NBA's 50th and 75th anniversary teams, a recognition of just how highly his peers and historians regard his contributions. Nate Thurmond may not have had the marketing of Wilt, the rings of Russell, or the scoring records of Kareem, but between the lines, he was every bit their equal in toughness and defensive mastery. When it comes to pure scoring in the 1980s, most fans immediately think of Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But the man who actually scored more points than anyone else in that decade wasn't any of them. It was Alex English. Between 1980 and 1989, English poured in 21,018 points, the most of any NBA player during that span. And yet, he's rarely mentioned in GOAT conversations or even in most best scorers of the era debates. He wasn't loud, didn't have a trademark shoe, didn't dunk with fury. He just quietly, methodically got buckets, night after night, year after year. English wasn't the product of a massive hype machine. Drafted in the second round in 1976 by the Milwaukee Bucks, he bounced around early in his career before finding his true home with the Denver Nuggets in 1980. That's where everything changed. Under coach Doug Moe, Denver ran one of the fastest-paced offenses in the league, and English was the smooth, elegant engine at its core. Standing 6'7" with long arms and one of the softest shooting touches the league has ever seen, he didn't overpower defenders. He glided past them. His mid-range game was automatic. Curl screens, quick pull-ups, baseline cuts. English turned simple plays into points with surgical efficiency. He had a way of making scoring look effortless, even when he was quietly dropping 30. From 1980 to 90, he averaged 25.9 points per game with a .507 field goal percentage, incredibly efficient for a high-volume scorer. He led the NBA in scoring in 1983 with 28.4 points per game, made 8 All-Star appearances, and earned 3 All-NBA second-team honors. But what truly made him unique was how consistent he was. No long droughts, no drama, just relentless, graceful scoring. English wasn't just padding numbers on bad teams either. Those Nuggets squads were playoff regulars. They reached the Western Conference Finals in 1985, pushing a loaded Los Angeles Lakers team led by Magic and Kareem. In that postseason, English averaged 30.2 points per game. In Game 4 of the conference finals, he dropped 40 points on the defending champs. He broke his thumb in Game 4 of that series, a huge blow to Denver's hopes, and a reminder that even great runs can be derailed by cruel timing. Unlike many volume scorers, English's game aged gracefully. He wasn't built on athleticism or explosion. It was skill, footwork, and touch. Even in his mid-30s, he remained one of the league's most reliable offensive weapons. By the time he retired, he ranked 7th on the NBA's all-time scoring list with 25,613 points. And yet, despite all of that, Alex English has often been left out of mainstream conversations about the era's elite. Why? Part of it is market. He played in Denver, not Los Angeles, Boston, or Chicago. He was soft-spoken. He didn't headline highlight reels. He just produced. The kind of greatness that doesn't scream, it whispers. Ask the players who guarded him, though, and there was nothing quiet about what he did to defenses. He moved like water, read coverages instinctively, and punished mistakes immediately. Defenders knew what was coming. They just couldn't stop it. His resume is more than worthy. 8 times NBA All-Star, 1983, scoring champion, 3 times All-NBA second team, all-time leading scorer of the 1980s, over 25,000 career points. English also helped redefine what an efficient scorer could look like. Long before analytics dominated basketball language, he was the blueprint. High usage, high efficiency, minimal wasted motion. He didn't need isolation-heavy possessions. He thrived in flow. Even his off-court legacy is notable. English became the first player in Nuggets history to have his number retired and has remained an ambassador for the game long after his playing days ended. But despite the stats, the elegance, and the sustained excellence, his name still doesn't carry the same weight in public conversation as some of his peers. That's what makes Alex English the very definition of underrated, a superstar who never demanded center stage, but dominated it in his own quiet way. When historians and purists look past the bright lights and market size, they know how good he really was. A scorer's scorer, a craftsman, a legend who let his jumper do the talking, and just like that, 6 names who rarely owned the headlines, but shaped the game in ways that mattered most. 6 players who might not have been plastered across billboards or nightly highlight reels, yet earned the respect of their peers and the basketball purists who truly understand the sport. If you appreciate the underrated, then you'll love the unfiltered, because on the other end of the spectrum is a list built on dominance, not subtlety. Check out my another video, Shaquille O'Neal names his 6 favorite basketball players, where we shift from quiet legends to towering icons, the players who defined an era on their own terms. If you still did not subscribe to his channel, please do subscribe to my channel and like this video, share your thoughts in the comments section.